Welcome. I am Dr. Patrice Berry. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, and here I share educational information on a variety of topics. I just wanted to say thank you to all of my, and somebody called them subbies. Thank you to each and every sub. I recently hit 10K, and I just absolutely adore each and every one of you. Today's topic, I agree with Steeler with RSD. Why would anyone, yet less a social worker, pretend to be a high school student? And I think she pretended to be a seventh grader as well. We are going to listen to this case. So, this case, I believe it started back in February of this year. And I just recently saw it on Law and Crimes channel. And I'm just I'm floored. I just don't know what to even make of this. I saw Long Crimes coverage. They had a psychiatrist talk about it, and he threw out some things that I don't because he threw out psychosis, he threw out some things, and okay. So, for anyone who has no clue what's going on here, why are we even talking about this? Let me go on ahead and play this news clip. I have a link to each and every clip or article that I'll be sharing down in the description.
Boston city councilors called for a hearing about how this could happen. This as a clearer picture emerges of the criminal investigation. This is Shelby Hewitt in her Sharon High School yearbook 16 years ago. She's now 32 years old, charged with forgery and identity fraud for enrolling in and attending 3 different Boston public schools in the last year. She was caught, according to police, after posing as Ellie Alessandra Blake at the English high school. Investigators got a search warrant for a condo in this Jamaica Plain building on Green Street. And inside Hewitt's bedroom, they say they found falsely made, altered, or forged documents from the Lowell Juvenile Court and the Department of Children and Families. Hewitt had previously worked as a DCF social worker. We were at the condo as school officials visited last week. No one answered, but according to city and court records, the owners of the condo are the same people who told school officials they were her parents. Police say the fraudulent scheme unraveled after the man who said he was Hewitt's father claimed he was withdrawing her because of the bullying that his daughter was receiving at school. The school officials grew suspicious because she just enrolled the previous week.
We're working to document everything, interview many of the people who had interacted with this individual. So it's not only an act of fraud, but also a use of public resources that really should be for our young people.
Now, we've repeatedly reached out to the people who claim to be Hewitt's parents. They have not responded. Hewitt's biological father told me last week she is getting mental health treatment, but he wouldn't comment on this case.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And when I first heard of this, I was because it doesn't seem like any of this could be real. Her lawyer shared a statement, and so I do just want to cover some things that are in this article as well. If y'all have questions, please let me know in the chat as we're talking about this. But her name is Shelby Hewitt, is accused of carrying out an elaborate scheme to convince the Boston public school system and the state that she was a child as young as 13 while working for the Department of Children and Family Services. She was posing as a student in the Boston public school systems last year. She pled not guilty to 9 indictments in Suffolk Superior Court on Tuesday, where new details emerged about how she allegedly pretended to be a traumatized child with significant special education and emotional needs. So she claimed that she was in foster care and she created documents impersonating, and there are allegations that that she actually used an identity of a real child who was in foster care or is in foster care. And that was how she was able to enroll herself in one of the schools. Those are the allegations. Hewitt is facing 3 counts of forgery, 2 counts of forgery at common law, 1 count of uttering. Remember, I'm not a lawyer. 1 count of identity fraud, 1 count of larceny over $1,200, and 1 count of making false claims to her employer. And it's interesting that there's nothing related to children because to me, she misused her role as a social worker to gain access to children. Now, they are investigating why a person would do this. They are taking a look into all of this. And this is where her attorney, Timothy Flattery, obviously, Miss Hewitt is a young lady who's got significant mental health challenges. That's abundantly clear. What's not clear is how whatever happened was allowed to happen at the Boston public school system for as long as it was. So her attorney is blaming the Boston public school system because she claimed to be a foster youth and often foster children because when a child is removed from their when once they're placed in DCF or DSS custody, they don't want it to be a difficult process enrolling the child because sometimes there can be delays in getting copies of birth certificates or getting kind of the usual documents that you would have. And there are allegations that she created a website and a domain name that resembled a real DSS website. And that was how she was able to do some of this. This is all very elaborate. And I'm not a fan when something doesn't make sense, when people immediately try to think mental health versus was this just some odd scheme to get back into high school? So I would never try to go back to middle school or high school. Never ever. I used to run a school-based counseling program in middle and high schools. Even with my badge on, the hallways in a school system, they get incredibly crowded. I was my counselors that were in those schools, they did a phenomenal job. I did not try to go back to be a student. So this just it doesn't make any sense at all. And, they interviewed some of the kids, and because there was also an allegation that she might have enrolled herself in a treatment like, in a treatment facility as well for a period of time, and, and all of this happened while she was collecting her $54,000 salary from the state. She was also pretending to be a student in school. Um, one of the articles, I will share that because within the video I just showed, they had her true high school picture, and I will clear some of the ads and I will share that tab real quick because this is her actual high school picture and a lot of the students were just appalled at, like, how could something like this happen? And, I do wanna play a little bit of that. So let me share this. Alright. So this, I believe, was from 5 months ago. So this is an older report, but I did not hear any of this back at the time. So let's play that.
Those students, they were pretty surprised. They had no idea that one of their classmates here was actually a 32-year-old woman.
She definitely didn't look 32. I can tell you that. I wouldn't have thought she was 32. But dang, she was 32?
These high school freshmen are still trying to understand how someone they saw in the halls every day was actually an adult woman attending class alongside them. But you didn't think twice? You thought she was in your class?
I thought she was a normal student. I didn't know she was 32, older than the whole teacher.
Investigators say the woman attended Jeremiah Burke, Brighton, and English high schools, transferring from school to school over the course of the last year under false names. The superintendent says it appears to be a case of extremely sophisticated fraud.
She sounded like a teenager, like, I can't believe this right now. She was cool. She was a cool person, just like just like a normal high schooler.
Students say the woman transferred from Jeremiah Burke High School a few months ago, and investigators say paperwork irregularities raised a red flag.
We do not have any evidence at this moment of any harm or risk to the young people, thank goodness.
She was really nice, actually. Yeah, no weird, nothing.
While the woman was enrolled in school, the Department of Children and Families says she was also working for DCF as a social worker. She's no longer working for the state agency, and the motivation to enroll in high school is still a mystery.
The question is, like, the school didn't know about it earlier throughout the whole year. I'm confused.
So there are still a lot of questions tonight. That woman's father says she is now getting mental health treatment. We're live in Dorchester tonight.
So I will be interested to see if any of this is streamed, if any of her court information, if that is publicly available, or if any potential diagnoses come up. The one that the psychiatrist from Law and Crime, the one that I agreed with, is that there could be some type of personality disorder. There could be an antisocial, or he said borderline. I was also thinking possibly like a histrionic, or like there could be some type of personality issue. There could also be often individuals. And so this is where therapists, so it's really important that every healthcare professional that they do their own work, because we all get into this for our own reasons. Someone once asked me, is it okay for a therapist to have depression or anxiety, or can you be a therapist and have autism or ADHD? And the answer is, as long as those things are well managed and it's not impacting your work. The same way that a doctor can have diabetes, I can be a therapist and also manage my own anxiety. Now, if my anxiety gets to the point that when other people are talking about their anxiety, I start like not being able to manage my own, that's where my own mental health would be impacting my clients, and that would bring up ethical issues. And I did want to also clarify. So I don't know that she was a licensed social worker. So in my state, I practice in the state of Virginia. We have licensed clinical social workers. An individual can be a social worker through DSS with a bachelor's in social work. They don't have to be a licensed clinical social worker. That requires a master's in social work and an additional residency that requires additional steps that individuals who are social workers, that there are different licensure. So I don't know that she was a licensed social worker. I don't know what the requirements for social work are in the state of Boston, because they mentioned that she worked at social services. So there are some people that as a social worker, they might manage someone's benefits. So individuals who have Medicaid, or that have that receive different services through the state. There are eligibility workers. There are foster care workers. There are lots of different. And if someone isn't licensed, they have a supervisor. So every person, if they're not like the main supervisor at a social service department, they typically report to a social worker who 9 times out of 10 is going to be a licensed social worker. This was, when I saw it, I definitely wanted to talk about it. Welcome, member of the jury. Thank you for watching. Thank you for catching up on this. I wanted to share this and be able to and when it comes to the why, because I believe the charges so far, I think they've only charged her. I don't know that they found somebody else that was involved with this. Out of all the research I saw, I didn't see that they charged any other individuals with this. And I think the clearest thing is the fraud and the forgery. And so I think they're going with the crimes that they can easily get a conviction on. I just I don't know if they're gonna publicly state what her mental health concerns are. I do think if anyone is ever working with someone and if they do have questions or concerns, or if something doesn't feel quite right, now this is not the standard. And so that's where I had somebody in my comments who asked me to cover this, because sometimes certain fields can get a bad rap because of bad actors, because of a few people that overstep. And this is where I think boundaries can be really, really important, because professional ethics, that's really what keeps us in line with what we are and aren't allowed to do. And so this is that case. Any other potential mental health? So on Law and Crime, someone mentioned psychosis, and it didn't sound delusional because there's all this work that had to go in to keeping the fraud alive. So it seemed you would have to have conscious awareness that you were not 13 or 16 years old because you're creating fake documents. There didn't seem to be this disconnection from reality where the individual wasn't sure who they were. Now, this is just from what I know publicly. I've never met her. I don't know what's truly going on with this case. It didn't give off psychosis vibes for me. What it did, so they were fictional movies, because in the video I saw, they did mention movies where people go back to high school. I just watched on Netflix, I believe, there was a movie called The Switch, where a whole family, they all end up switching places, and the mom ends up learning what it's really like to be in high school, and the daughter figures out what it's like to walk in mom's shoes, and the dad switches places with the son, and the son, switches places with the dad. Those are all fictional things. We don't try to do that in real life. There have been other cases of people who pretended to be high school students to enroll, and sometimes it was for it was for more sinister reasons, like they ended up like dating people, or and it at this point it does not sound like anyone was harmed, but that would be something that they would look into. Was anyone harmed during this process? Now, yeah, and for those of us that are like, I wouldn't wanna go back to being a kid. Now, being an adult, adulting can suck sometimes, like, adulting, oh, like, having to go to work. So, over Christmas break, I'm gonna work some days over Christmas break. It works for me. My son's gonna be able to have a blast and just chill and relax. But nothing about that would make me want to go back to high school. Yes. Thank you for mentioning this. If it's Janai, let me know if I'm saying that wrong. Stigma applied to the mental health field is already skewed. It's positively changing, though. I agree. I agree. Due to Natalie, who brings on Psychologist. Yes. And so, due to you and Natalie. Yes. Natalie, lawyer chick. I have her channel linked in my page. She is phenomenal. Oh, Janae. Yes. Okay. Janae. I know someone else who has it. It's the last two letters are AE. Yes, Janae. Thank you. I like to get people's names correctly. That is correct. That is your name. But if y'all have any other questions, any other cases that y'all would like for me to cover, please let me know. This one just really stumped me, and ooh, ooh, ooh. It really is hard to think, why would anyone do this? And if she does need psychological treatment, if she does need psychological care, an individual can still be found criminally responsible and still get psychological help and care. So I did a video recently talking about um Paul, I don't know his last name, but it was the Timothy Ferguson case. And Paul was his older brother that was involved. The mom pretty much told Paul what to do. And a lot of people were like, I hope Paul gets help. I hope Paul gets help. Some prisons, now it depends, it really depends on the prison. Some prisons have programs available for individuals with mental health. During my education and training, I did the screenings. So for every child that was coming into juvenile intake, that was coming into a juvenile detention center, we would screen them for any medications they were on, were they having any thoughts of unaliving themselves, were they having any thoughts towards others? We would do a screening to then be able to set what their risk level was at that time upon admission. And most prisons have now those resources can be really limited. It really depends on where individuals are, but there are jail psychologists, there are jail therapists that provide treatment and care, and often individuals can meet with psychiatrists and they can do all those things. It reminds me of Donna Adelson. So with the Adelson case, Donna Adelson, she was upset because she's been kept on at a higher risk level and she would like to be removed from that risk level. And so they were talking about having an independent assessment and but I guess on a call with her son Charlie, they a statement was made and the jail psychologist, I think psychiatrist, they decided to keep her on a higher level of observation. And each prison gets to set that, and that's that. He has a hearing this week. Okay, so I think he will I think he'll plead guilty because he's already admitted what he did. Now, a person can plead guilty and still try to um, based on his testimony, it sounded like he was prepared to accept any consequences. And the state did not say for sure because I saw a interview with the prosecutor on court TV. The prosecutor did not say what they were going to do moving forward, if they were what they were going to charge him with. Right now, he's charged with felony child abuse, and they're going to be taking a look at that. I accidentally called it child neglect, and somebody clarified that it was not that. And so, um, thank you all for watching. Once again, thank you for subbing. If y'all could just make sure to like the video, it helps in the YouTube algorithm. And also, if you could subscribe if you're not already subscribed, if you like content like this. I appreciate you all, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.